During an NFAC black militia gathering, an older shotgun that didn't have a safety or something, safety feature, or was missing one of the safety features, probably drop safe, drop fired buckshot. Police investigated this very obviously negligent discharge shooting incident within a supposedly highly trained group of people with safety inspectors checking guns that still ended up shooting 3 people. Once each got shot in the arm, shoulder, and leg. Each one of them had a completely different injury. That's quite a spread. But the NFAC Black Militia Grandmaster Jay said that none of the members had a negligent discharge. It is a negligent discharge, but nobody shot anybody. Okay. And the reasoning he has for it is he said that older shotguns do that. Now, instead of just stopping there and explaining what brand, make, model, year, condition the gun was in, and why would their safety officers not check it, he basically made a statement later, or somebody did, that they hadn't been checked out. So what happened is they failed to safety check people who were going to be at a group meetup. Okay, but instead of that, Grandmaster Jay decided to do something that has become meme-worthy. Now, this is the funny thing. Right now, I'm going to tell you something. This actually has a rabbit hole that goes all the way back to the guy who inspired the movie Lord of War. The Lord of War guy, yeah. I found this out 10 minutes ago, so buckle up, bitches. He said that because he has an example that he's going to show you to educate your stupid asses, that he's right about his assertion that this wasn't a negligent discharge. Now, you can look up what a negligent discharge and accidental discharge is. A negligent discharge is when you're negligent in some way that you've done something, or a negligent discharge can technically be when a gun is made badly. He's assuming that part, but you're responsible for every bullet. The government, the local police, every citizen has decided that if someone gets shot, the person who is the consequent cause of it is responsible, and they are negligent if negligence can be proven. Now, I'm going to leave a link to that, but we're not really interested in that. We're just going to read back the meme you all have already heard of. He said he had a 1990s XR15, very specifically, Shorty. He also said lock and load during the video. This is a clue. I'm not kidding. Him yelling lock and load or saying lock and load like an idiot and calling it an XR15 Shorty and a bullpup are all very big clues. It's an AR-15 clone. Now, AR-15s, if you're not aware of it, have a couple of characteristics. They have a buffer tube that is basically stuck inside of a stock, and it's pretty much required for it to work like a normal AR-15. Now, there are variants of it that bend the tube and put it into a much more traditional-looking stock. I prefer those. There are also AR-15 pistols that have a different mechanism entirely, so they don't need the buffer tube that way. And I can think of a dozen ways to make it to where it does not have that shape, but the most practical way is just to use a buffer tube and a buttstock. And it can be a short one. That's what she said. But he said that this AR-15 clone he was holding was a bullpup when it wasn't. At least currently it's not. Yes, this is where the rabbit hole starts. He also said that when you open the bolt and it drops, the weapon has fired and guns go off by themselves. These are direct quotes. Now, that last one is a lie that's told by a lot of people who talk about guns that don't know about them, or definitely know about them, but keep saying it because the majority of people don't know the following. Almost all, in fact, virtually all guns that you can find are designed so that they cannot go off by themselves at all. In the extreme past, some specific types of firearms could do this. A very weird, for instance, is a particular type of Glock that if it has a certain kind of wear pattern, which is really unusual if it's an older one, it can accidentally start going into full auto. This is seen even with AR-15s that people custom made and didn't fully prevent. And it's not normal machine gun mode. It just empties the damn magazine. You don't have any control over it. This is something no gun user wants. It basically turns the gun into literally a suicide weapon, because it could do this literally like he's talking about. You could drop it. But one of the rules that was passed for one of the gun control measures is that all guns had to be incapable of doing this unless they were made before a certain date, in which case they should be, and you would be considered perpetually liable if they did this and hurt somebody. You aren't allowed to claim ignorance or anything. You're just told, if you own a gun that's old enough that it's questionable, get the damn thing checked at go to a gunsmith. And side note, there's a video on YouTube of somebody using a single action gun that when you pulled back the hammer, the damn thing went off anyway, which is an incredibly dangerous condition. No gun owner right now wants to put up with this crap. Even if I build a slam fire shotgun out of a couple of hunks of pipe and a cork, I'm going to make it incapable of doing that by putting in a safety. Unless I touch the gun and squeeze the back, the rest of the pipes can't fit together. I literally make slam fire shit grade shotguns that are drop safe. Because even though it's not a requirement if you make one at home, you can technically be hauled in for negligence for making a gun that could hurt the next door neighbor. If you make a gun, you're responsible for whatever it does, even if you're not the one firing it, under some conditions, aka the word negligence. But the person owning the gun is negligent too, and the person firing it. There's layers of this. He also said the word again, lock and load. So here we go. This clown either has a stuck firing pin from not maintaining it, or a bad design, or a bunch of experience from a while back, not necessarily in the military. No, he also said that every day in basic training people shoot themselves and someone gets a flag and a nice letter, your son has died in training. No, that literally isn't true. Basically, Grandmaster Jay sat there and lied his bullshit ass off. But why did he say lock and load and a XR15, which is just an AR-15 clone, and then call it a bullpup? Lord of War. In 1994, a company out of Vancouver, BC, and London, England, claimed that they had been theatrical armorers starting that year, doing the global movie, theater, and television industries, manufacturing and supplying firearms for many blockbuster films and TV productions from its offices and armories in Vancouver and London. The company's named Lock and Load. What did that company turn into later? Because it did. In the year 2000, May 20th, the company copied their website that was lockandload.net to sabredefense.com. And it was registered, and its email led back to lockandload.net. And Guy Savage, Lord of War, the guy from Lord of War, literally, dead ass, this is the connection. What did the Sabre Defense Company make? In the year 2004, they made the XR15. This isn't even able to be tracked unless you dig through archive after archive after archive. Well, what happened? Anyway, in the year 2000, they set up that website. And let's wonder why. They've been in existence since 1994, excuse me. They got raided in the year 2000, so they set up a website and started disassociating Lock and Load Net and Sabre Defense. By the way, the Sabre Defense, lockandload.net versus lockandload.co.uk, that last one doesn't really exist. Anyway, they got raided in 2000. Officially, they became Sabre Defense all over the place at 450 Allied Drive, Nashville, Tennessee in the United States in 2003. 2004, Sabre Defense's XR15s came in the variants called A3, M4, Stealth, Bench Rest, 16, and the A2 Government emulations. These variants were in PDF files listing a fake sabredefense.co.uk page that was never set up for them, never archived. Sabredefense.com is, and lockandload.net were, and were duplicates of each other. That's why he said lock and load. It was on a little piece of paper with the gun he bought. When did he get this gun? He said he got it in the 90s. The company didn't exist until 1994 and did not market this gun until the year 2004. The only other alternatives, right now, today's date, I'll bring up later. The company got shot down in 2010 for arms smuggling, Lord of War mode. 2013, assets were bought by Manroy USA. The website was mothballed, but you can still read all of the data. And if you look at the older versions, it shows you the connection to lockandload.net. It had a hoo-ha, lock and load commercials and shit. You probably watched them. 2016, it was then owned by New Empire Industries, and this is something important. In the year 2020, all physical assets that were cleared by the ATF for sale were sold, and that included the last of their entire collection of XR15s, which flooded the market only in the year 2020 because they weren't able to sell them after a certain point because they were under massive amounts of threat. The equipment wasn't sold in Germany. It's illegal to have it in Germany, so he would have had to buy that, if he makes his claim real, by smuggling it. They were under smuggling investigations pretty much from the year 2000 forward, and they were only able to transfer between the UK and the United States because they had legit government contracts. But Guy Savage, Mr. Lord of War, got his employees to send things by shifty methods, including personal shipments of parts involving other countries. Which means if this guy, Grandmaster J, really does have one of these guns that was assembled from the parts, he is in possession of a automatic go to jail for a fuck ton of time felony, because in the United States, that's importing foreign parts that are the majority of the design that were illegally imported and were involved or readily convertible to a machine gun. Anyway, he probably got the damn thing at a gun auction in year 2020. But let's bring up something simpler. ROBLOX. Besides the XR15 from Sabre Defense, aka Lock and Load, that was only sold in 2004. There's also the XR15 remote for you to sit on your couch and turn on channels. That's a funny one. It's going to be in the icon for the video. But the video game ROBLOX contains the XR15. You can play XR15 ROBLOX. You can play. It's fun. But this isn't based on the Sabre Defense or Lock and Load XR15. Again, this is originally a company that made guns for movies that shot blanks only. If you make a blank firing gun, you're allowed to make fully auto. So the company had a lot of experience making fully automatic weapons. They switched over and got the permits under Sabre Defense to make a real fucking machine gun. Only through the US government. But if you make those parts, you are not permitted to let them fall into anybody's hands unless they're universal generic things. That's why the AR-15 was named the XR-15. It's just a generic AR-15. But what was the XR-15 in ROBLOX based on? Based on the Airsoft XR5 CSI Star BB gun. The only two places the XR-15 exists that you can find throughout history is Sabre Industries, the Sabre Defense Industries, aka Lock and Load, producing a gun that would definitely put you into federal crimes territory if he has possession of it, and he should be raided. If any of the parts ever came from the company and were ever used in a fully automatic weapon, they've got him. He needs to get rid of that damn gun, preferably by parting it out, or not. The bullpup, the only bullpup, and I mean it, dead ass, the only bullpup you can find at all that's ever existed for the XR-15 is in the video game ROBLOX, and it's based on an airsoft gun called the XR5. So he either has a felony conviction slung on his shoulder and jail time and never being permitted to have a gun again, or this fucker played ROBLOX one too many times. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. All links in the description. I'm dead ass serious. This all goes back to God of War and ROBLOX.